Hello everyone, welcome to Rajeshwari's Commerce and Management Study Hub. I'm Rajeshwari here. Let us discuss today the most important and interesting topic, charges of GST. So now charges of GST ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರೀಸೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಫಿನಾನ್ಸ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ 2023 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಅಮೆಂಡ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಆ ಅಮೆಂಡ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ನ according to the latest statutory updates issued by ICAI, we are going to discuss. The next 1 hour will be the most interesting and important. Please don't lose your focus. Keep focus and make note down each and every point. It is important. You have to revise it later. And with that, understanding the concept is also very important, because here we are going to discuss the new amendment, the new changes have been made on ECO, right? That is section 9, compensation scheme, RCM, FCM, everything. That is why you have to be very focused, right? So gamana ಪಾಠದ ಮೇಲೆ ಇರಲಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಚಾರ್ಜಸ್ ಆಫ್ GST. ಚಾರ್ಜಸ್ ಆಫ್ GST ನಾನು ರಷ್ಯಾಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು GST ಪೇ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರಾ, ಅಥವಾ ಸಿಂಗಾಪುರ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಚಾರ್ಜಸ್ ಆಫ್ GST ನಾನು ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಬಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ ದ ಗವರ್ನಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಫ್ ದೇ ಸೇ ಚಾರ್ಜಸ್ ಆಫ್ GST ವಿ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಫಾರ್ ದ ಸಿಂಗಾಪುರ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ, do they accept? No. So then where it is extended and where it is applicable, so that we are going to understand. That is only extent and commencement of the GST law. Under GST law, mainly we have 3 acts: CGST, IGST Act 2017. See, CGST and IGST. CGST is for interstate and intrastate, both CGST and IGST Act 2017, and it is extended to the whole India, including J&K, that is Jammu and Kashmir. SGST Act. SGST ಅಲ್ಲಿ extended to the respective states with union territories with the state legislature. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯೂನಿಯನ್ ಟೆರಿಟರೀಸ್ಗೆ ಸಪರೇಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ UTGST Act 2017 ಅಂತ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾಕೆ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ? ಆಸ್ ಪರ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟೋಟಲಿ 11 union territories, but here the 3 union territories have their own state legislature. ಯಾವುದೇ ಆದ ವಿಧಾನಸಭಾ ಇದೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೇನೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ. ಈಗ ಡೆಲ್ಲಿ, ಪುದುಚೇರಿ ಅಥವಾ ಜಮ್ಮು ಅಂಡ್ ಕಾಶ್ಮೀರಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ನೀವೇನೇ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಇನ್ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ CGST ಅಂಡ್ SGST ಅಂತ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಹೊರತು UTGST ಅಂತ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದೇ UTGST Act 2017 extended to UTs, those who don't have without state legislature, that is Andaman Nicobar Islands, Lakshadweep, Ladakh, Chandigarh, Dadra, Diu and Daman. So all these are coming under the UTGST Act. Now we have understood all India how we are extending IGST, CGST, SGST. What about water? We have a water, through water also we are providing services, supplies, no? See, if this is India, from the landmark of India, the coastal area, coastal line up to 200 nautical miles ವರೆಗೂ ನಾವೇನೇ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು GST ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಬಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ. 200 nautical miles. After this 200 nautical miles, we will consider this as a high sea ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀರಿ. Here it is not applicable. ಓಕೆ, ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ 200 nautical mile? ಹೇಗೆ ನಾವು ರೋಡ್ಸ್ನ ಮೆಷರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರೋ ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ನಾವು ವಾಟರ್ನ ನಾಟಿಕಲ್ ಮೈಲ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮೆಷರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ. ದ ಮೆಷರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ನಾಟಿಕಲ್ ಮೈಲ್ಸ್. ಒಂದು ನಾಟಿಕಲ್ ಮೈಲ್ ಇಸ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು 1.852 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. 1 nautical mile is equal to 1.852 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಪ್ ಟು 200 nautical miles ವರೆಗೂ ನಾವು GST ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಬಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ದಟ್ ವಿ ವೋಂಟ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಇನ್ ದ IC only the extract oil and all. For that petroleum and all, still we have not levying the taxes, GST, right? This is about the extent and commencement of the GST. Now levy and collection of GST, CGST. Please understand CGST, levy and collection of CGST section 9 ali. We are talking about CGST. Here the CGST section 9 subsection 1 shall be levied on all intra-state supply. What is intra-state supply? When the place of supply and the supplier both are in the same state, then it is called as intra-state supply anta karitiri. Except alcoholic liquor for human consumption, maximum rate is 20%. Here we are talking only about the CGST. So CGST ಒಂದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆನೇ ಮಾತಾಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ maximum rate 20%. If we talk about total GST, then including SGST it will be 40%. 20 CGST, 20 SGST ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Section 9 subsection 2 ಅಲ್ಲಿ GST on 5 petroleum products shall be levied on the recommendation of the GST council. ಇನ್ನು ನಾವು 5 petroleum products ಮೇಲೆ GST ನ applicable ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. We are not collecting. Which are all the 5 petroleum products? Come on, message in the comment box. All 5 petroleum products. ಯಾವ್ದು? Petrol, crude oil, petrol, aviation turbo oil, diesel, natural gases. ಈ 5 ಮೇಲೂ GST applicable illa. In case the GST council recommends from tomorrow onwards we are going to apply this on these 5 petroleum products, then we are going to apply. That is what the amendment says. Then for section 9 subsection 3, reverse charge mechanism. The hero of the topic today is reverse charge mechanism. Before understanding reverse charge mechanism, let us understand what is forward charge mechanism. We'll understand the difference between. Whenever you understand the difference, you will never forget, and it is easy to apply and understand also. Reverse charge mechanism alli ನಾವು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, the recipient, the services which he has received, ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ ರಿಸೀವ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾನೆ ಆ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ಗೆ ಅವನು ಬರೀ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ನ ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಈ ವಿಲ್ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ಒನ್ಲಿ ದಿ amount for the services or product which he received. He is not going to pay any tax amount. Here recipient is taking one responsibility of paying tax to the government. That is called reverse charge mechanism. But under forward charge mechanism, the supplier collect the price plus GST, the tax amount also he collects, and whatever ITC already has collected, he will deduct that, and the remaining amount is going to pay to the government. That is forward charge mechanism. Understood? What is reverse charge mechanism? Under reverse charge mechanism, the recipient, the supplier will receive only the amount for the services which he has rendered, goods and services which he has rendered, not the tax amount. The tax amount is paid by the recipient itself to the government later. Under forward charge mechanism, with the goods and services price, he is going to receive the amount of tax also, and later he will deduct the ITC, then the remaining amount is paying to the government. That is forward charge mechanism. Is it clear? Yes. Let us understand. Under this reverse charge mechanism, the next 20 minutes is most important. Just focus. There should not be any distractions. Okay? And where in the service recipient is required to pay the GST to the government. So what are the reverse charge mechanisms? Totally we have specified services. Here we are going to talk about the services. Totally 17 services na specify madide. So what are the total 17 services which RCM is applicable, that we are going to understand first. The first one is goods transportation service. Goods transportation service. Here, the goods transportation agency is not ready to go for the general rules, the mechanisms of registering, or you don't want to avail any benefit of the ITC. Then what the recipient is going to pay the GST at 5%. They are the specified recipient. Then is falling under the RCM, is going to pay the GST under RCM mechanism. If the goods transportation service agency want to avail the facility of ITC, then he will collect the charges at 12% per annum. 12% per annum. So 12%, at the rate of 12%, recipient is a specified recipient, then he will pay GST under RCM. If the recipient is other than the specified person or a consumer, he is exempted from the GST. So what is this specific? Is not a specified or a consumer. That means now you are going to shift your house because of your parent transferred one place to another place. While you are shifting your all household items like fridge, washing machine, TV, sofa and all, you can't carry, right? You will avail a service of transportation, right? Truck service who is going to shift your house. Then you are paying the amount for the services which you have availed. For you are exempted from the GST because you are not a specified person and you are not a consumer also. That is why exempted from the GST. Is it clear? The goods transportation service, if the person is specified, we have a 7 specified persons who will pay the GST at 5% under the RCM mechanism. And when the service provider, you don't want to avail the benefit of the ITC, in case the goods transportation service provider want to avail the benefit of the ITC, then he will collect the GST at 12% recipient from the specified recipient under the RCM mechanism, right? Then here RCM shall not be applied if GTA services are being provided to, if the transportation services is provided in case to the Department of Central Government, State Government, Union Territories, or to any local authorities or to the government agencies, then RCM is not applicable. RCM is not applicable. Then what? Then he is not availing the RCM facilities, he is going to pay under the forward charge mechanism. Who have taken any register under GST only for the purpose of deducting the tax under section 51 and not for making a taxable supply of goods and services. He is just registered. After that, he is not going to avail any, is not going to supply any services. Still, he is supposed to pay the tax under the FCM, is not going to avail the facility of reverse charge mechanism. Now there we have seen 7 specified recipient. Who are the 7 specified recipient? Factory, society, cooperative society, person registered under the GST law, any partnership firm whether registered or not, or any casual taxable persons. Then these 7 specified recipients will pay. What is the percentage of tax for GST for them? It is 5%, right? Now let us understand now. Here RC partnership firm is sending some goods GTA through GTA to MC Associates. MC Associates, right? Now here, see, partnership firm also specified recipient. Association of person is also a specified recipient. Now who is going to pay the tax? Here, the person who pays the freight charges. Now, I have given order to the GTA to deliver the goods, supply the goods to MC Associates. So, I am bearing the freight charges. Then, because GTA don't want to avail any facility of ITC, then I am paying the freight charges under the RCM. If the MC Associates is paying the freight charges, he is bearing the burden of the freight charges, then the MC Associates is going to pay the RCM. The person who is paying, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವಿಲ್ಲಿ ಗೂಡ್ಸ್ ನ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋವಾಗ ನನಗೆ ಫ್ರೀ ಆಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ. Okay madam, I will go and give anta, right? He need, because he need to fuel the vehicle, right? He needs some charges for the services he has rendered. So whoever gives ಆ ಬಾಡಿಗೆ ಯಾರು ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅವರು RCM GST ನ ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂಡರ್ RCM ಮೆಕಾನಿಸಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? That is what this is. And now legal services to the business entity. ಯಾವುದೇ legal services ನೀವು business entityಗೆ provide ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, who is the recipient? Who received the services? The business entity. So business entity is going to pay the GST under RCM. You can avail the RCM facility. Now arbitral tribunal services to the business entity. Again, the business entity has received the services, so eligible for the RCM. The business entity will become the recipient. RCM means what? Under RCM, the reverse charge mechanism, the recipient is going to pay the GST. Understand this. He has not, he availed the services, he paid only the cost for the services, not the tax. The tax is paid by himself to the government. The next, if you have taken any sponsorship services to any body corporates or partnership firm, if you have taken, then the partnership firm or the body of corporate is the recipient, is paying under the RCM, reverse charge mechanism. If any services by central government, state government, UT and local authorities to the business entity, then they can avail the RCM, except, understand this is the new amendment, new the changes have been added here, except if they are renting any immovable property to the unregistered person. Now government guest houses and all there, they are giving it for renting purpose to the unregistered person. Then services by the Department of Post or Ministry of Railway. This is the new added one, Ministry of Railway. Then services inside or outside the precincts of a port or an airport or transport of goods or passengers. Then in this below four cases, the FCM, forward charge mechanism, is applicable, not the RCM. You cannot avail the RCM facility over here in these four cases. If the services provided by the central government, state government, UTs and local authorities, still the business here, the business entity is the recipient, though he is availing, except in these four cases. Understood? Yes. The next point is 5A. Here, the services by the government, excluding Ministry of Revenue. Just now we have studied under the provisions of 5, right? Here, services of railway is coming under the forward charge mechanism, right? So, excluding Ministry of Railway by way of renting of any immovable property to the registered person, then forward charge mechanism is applicable, not the RCM. Under 5AA, if any services by way of renting a residential dwelling to registered person showing such rent as a business expenses. See, if in case, if you are showing as a business income in the profit and loss account, debit side you have shown as an expenses, then you can avail this facility, RCM facility. If in case the same thing it is for the personal purpose, then it is exempted, GST is not applicable here. Okay, here you can see residential dwelling, he has done dwelling and he has shown it as a business expenses, that is why you can avail the RCM. Okay, and 5B, services by way of transfer and developmental rights and floor space index for the construction of a project by a promoter. Here the promoter is nothing but a builder, so the builder will become a recipient and he is going to pay the reverse charge mechanism. Services by way of long-term lease of land, he has taken 30 years or more than the promoter, the builder, because he has availed, the government says from the builder collect the tax. So RCM, here we are going to take, because 30 years he has taken for the lease, so 30 years he is going to give the services and he is going to earn, right? So that is why GST is applicable to the builder, not the person who is there. Okay, builder will pay the GST under RCM mechanism. And services by a director as a director. Here there was a confusion. So now the confusion has been cleared. As a director, what duty you have done? Well, the presence of your as a director in the office will be considered here. How you have, any decisions have you taken, the meetings you have conducted with the board of directors, as individual directors, what you have done, that will be considered. If you received any amount as a salary, then there will be an employer and employee relationship, then GST will not be applicable. That is why, as a director, your presence, what you have done, will be considered. Then service by director is individual capacity, will not attract the RCM. Then if you say somewhere outside and you are say, I am the director of so and so company, you have not done the meeting, you are not attended any, you are not there in the any decision making process, then it won't be considered as a director. Then you cannot avail this RCM. Then services by an insurance agent. Insurance agent is providing the services to the insurance company. Now, who is the recipient? Insurance company will pay the GST under RCM mechanism. The insurance company will be the recipient. Okay. Then services by recovery agent to banks, financial institutions, non-banking financial corporations. In these cases, the bank, FIs and NBFCs will be the recipient. They'll pay reverse charge mechanism. Services by the assistant artist to the producer, music company, etc. Now, if you take any movie, there will be a lot of the artists will be there, hero, heroines, right, actors, actress, then villain, musicians, music director. So they are availing, they are, the producer is producing the movie and he is paying, but still the government says collect the GST, he will be the recipient. So, collecting the GST from the producer and the music company also under the reverse charge mechanism. And services by author to the publisher will become the recipient and he is going to pay the GST under the RCM. He can avail the RCM. Then on author, he may choose to follow the FCM also. But once he chosen, he has to stay, is to pay. He can't withdraw within 1 year. After more than a year, he can withdraw, but within a year, he can't, won't be able to withdraw the FCM what he has availed. Then services by the members of overseeing committee to RBI. Now, who is receiving the service? RBI. The RBI is the recipient, right? The recipient RBI is paying the GST under RCM mechanism. Services by individual direct selling agent to banks and BFCs. Here, direct selling agents are nothing but the Bajaj Finance, Bajaj Capitals. If you visit any like digital, Reliance Digital, Pi, or any showrooms, if you want to purchase any electronic gadgets, they will ask you, do you have any like need service financial facilities? There is a EMI facility on this and all, and you no need to worry, we will provide all the services. Immediately the Bajaj financer will come, he will approach, madam, you pay only down payment or zero down payment. So here the Bajaj Finance, the bank, NBFC, they are the recipient. They are paying the GST under RCM mechanism. They can avail. And services by any business facilitator to the banking company. The banking company is the recipient and recipient is paying the, and he can avail the RCM. Services by agent of business correspondents to the business correspondent. Business correspondent is providing the service to the another business correspondents. So your business correspondent who received the services is the recipient and he can avail the RCM. Then services by the any security guard agencies to the registered person. The registered person is availing the security guard service, so he can pay the GST under RCM mechanism. RCM shall not applicable in case he has provided security guard services to the Department of CGSGUT or any local authority or government agencies. RCM is not applicable because they have to get registered, and who have taken register under the CGST Act only for the purpose of deducting the tax under Section 51, they are coming under the FCM. They cannot avail the RCM. Then we have one more amendment under the 14, that is compensation scheme dealers who are avoid the compensation scheme, who don't want to pay the GST rate, you want to pay fixed rate of tax, those are not applicable to the RCM. Now, the services by way of renting any motor vehicle. If you have rented any motor vehicle, ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅಕ್ಕ ಮನೆಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೀರಾ, ಮೈಸೂರಲ್ಲಿದೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅಕ್ಕ ಮನೆನೋ ಅಣ್ಣ ಮನೆನೋ, ಯುವರ್ ರಿಲೇಟಿವ್ ಹೌಸ್ ಇವೆಂಟ್, ವಿಲ್ ಸೇ ಟುಮಾರೋ ವಿಲ್ ಗೋ ಫಾರ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಎ ಲಾಂಗ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಯು ವಿಸಿಟೆಡ್, ತುಂಬಾ ದಿನ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ಸೊ ನಾಳೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಒಂದು ರೌಂಡ್ ಹಾಕೊಂಡ್ ಬರೋಣ, ಮೈಸೂರೆಲ್ಲ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ ಬರೋಣ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಸೇ ಓಕೆ, but you don't want to go by bus because it will take lot of time, no? So what you are doing, you want to take one car for a rent basis, rent ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತಗೋಬೇಕು ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ. ಸೊ ಕಾರ್ನ ರೆಂಟ್ ತಗೋತೀರಾ, ಯು ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್, ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ರೋಮ್ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಪ್ಲೇಸಸ್ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಬರ್ತಾ ದಾರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ ಚಿಕ್ಕಮ್ಮ ಮನೆನೋ ಒಂದ್ ರಿಲೇಟಿವ್ ಮನೆ ಇದೆ, ಸೊ ರಿಲೇಟಿವ್ ಮನೆಗ್ ವಿಸಿಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ, ರಿಲೇಟಿವ್ ಮನೆಗ್ ವಿಸಿಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇದ್ಬಿಡಿ ನಾಳೆ ಹೋಗೋಣ ಅಂತ. ಸಿ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಡೆಡ್, ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟೇಕನ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್, ದೆರ್ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್ ರೂಟ್, ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫೈಡ್ ರೂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಏನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅದೇ ನೀವು ಒಂದು ಆಟೋ ಅಥವಾ ಕ್ಯಾಬ್ ನ ಬುಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡೆಸ್ಟಿನೇಷನ್ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ದ ಲೊಕೇಶನ್ ವೇರ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಪಿಕ್ and where you have dropped, that is specified, but there is no specification in the while you are renting. So if the GST is at 5% will be charged when there is a limit on the ITC which the services you have availed, and the supplier is other than the body corporate, and the recipient who received the services is a body corporate, then he can avail the RCM. Okay. In case the supplier is body corporate and recipient is other than the body corporate, then he will be availed under the FCM. Okay. And GST for the under the FCM, which is 12%, and there is no limit on the ITC because the percentage is low. There is a limit on the ITC. Okay. Now, the 16th one is the services of lending of services to a borrower. Who received the services of lending? The borrower. So, the borrower is going to recipient, is availing the services under RCM. And services imported from the outside India. Recipient from India will pay the GST under RCM. You received the services from outside the India, but the who received the service, no, the recipient is in India only. So the recipient who is in India is going to pay the GST under the RCM mechanism. So we have successfully completed reverse charge mechanism, all 17 specified services, because we have 17 specified services. Not all the services can avail the RCM. Okay, only this specified 17 services can avail the RCM mechanism. Here we are not discussed anything about the goods. We purely discussed about the services, right? I hope you all understood. Let us continue. Again, one more important topic is that is specified. This is what the new amendment which has been made, which was not there earlier, has been added. That is section 9, subsection 5, ECO. ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನಿಕ್ ಕಾಮರ್ಸ್ ಆಪರೇಟರ್. ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನಿಕ್ ಕಾಮರ್ಸ್ ಆಪರೇಟರ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಯಾರು? ಅಮೆಜಾನ್, ಫ್ಲಿಪ್ಕಾರ್ಟ್, ರೈಟ್, ದೆನ್ ಸ್ವಿಗ್ಗಿ, ಝೊಮ್ಯಾಟೊ, Rapido, Ola, Uber, all are coming under this electronic commerce operators. But here we are not talking about the goods. We are talking about purely the services, right? So we are excluding the Amazon and Flipkart. Now you see the services which are provided by the Ola, Uber, and Swiggy, Zomato, and all. Now here, why they have selected Ola, Uber and all under ECO, electronic commerce operator? ಯಾಕೆ? ಈಗ GST ಪೇ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ ಡ್ರೈವರ್ನ ಕೇಳಕ್ಕಾಗತ್ತಾ ಗವರ್ನಮೆಂಟ್? ರೈಟ್. ಅಂಡ್ GST ಪೇ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ ಪ್ಯಾಸೆಂಜರ್ನ ಕೇಳಕ್ಕಾಗತ್ತಾ? ರೈಟ್. ಸೊ they cannot ask the driver nor the passenger. So what the government decided, let us ask the service operator who provides services through electronic, that is Ola company. The company is paying, Ola is paying, the service provider is Ola, Uber, Rapido, they are paying the GST here. and shall be liable to pay GST on the services supplied through it. Through electronic commerce, whatever the operation services they have provided, on that they are paying. Now, here, services by way of transportation of passenger by radio taxi and motor cab is there. Radio taxi and motor cab. See, in the previously we have seen rental. Here we are seeing under the specified section 9 subsection 5 under electronic commerce operator. Why? What is the difference? Just before we have understood with an example. When you book an Ola, you cannot take it. The rental basis, the value is different, and when you have a specified place, pick up and drop locations, that is different. So that applicable under ECO, electronic commerce operator. Then ನೋಡಿ ಎಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಓಮಿನಿ ಬಸ್ ಅಂತ ಇದೆ. ಯಾಕೆ ಓಮಿನಿ ಬಸ್ ಯಾಕೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ಕ್ಲೂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ? ನಾವು ಹಿಯರ್ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ಲೂಡೆಡ್ ಓಮಿನಿ ಬಸ್. They are not left, they have included with an amendment, with an changes. Okay, services by way of transportation of passengers by an omnibus except where such omnibus services provider is a company. Now, if you avail any omnibus services, your service provider is company, then the section 9 subsection 5 is not applicable. You are paying the GST under forward charge mechanism. If the omnibus service provider is other than the company, that is other than the company is nothing but your ECO, you are an electronic commerce operator. Through electronic services you are providing a services, then you can avail, or you are falling under the RCM. Is it clear? Then services by way of providing the accommodation in hotels, inns, etc., except such hotel, inns, etc., all liable for the registration under 22. ನೀವು ಹೋಟೆಲ್, ಬಿಗ್ ಹೋಟೆಲ್ಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಅಕಾಮಿಡೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದರದೇ ಆದ ಅಂಡರ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 22 ಪ್ರಕಾರ ನೀವು ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ನೀವು ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಅಂಡರ್ ದಟ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಪೇ, right, the tax. If you are not at registered, then you are paying the under the GST. Services by way of housekeeping, carpenting, etc., except the person supplying such services is liable for registration under section 22. ಇದು ಕೂಡ ಅದನ್ನೇ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇವಾಗ ಅರ್ಬನ್ ಕಂಪನಿ ಅಂತ ಇದೆ ನೋಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ಅರ್ಬನ್ ಕಂಪನಿಲಿ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್, ದೆನ್ ದ ಅರ್ಬನ್ ಕಂಪನಿ is able to pay the GST, right? He will be the recipient, he becomes the recipient. But here, if you are directly operating with a customer, you are an professional carpenter, or you have an housekeeping facility provider, then you should be liable to register under this act. Okay, then we have the supply of restaurant services except where restaurant is located in is hotel having a declared tariff of any unit it is equal to the 7500 per unit per day. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಆಗಿ ನೀವು ಸ್ವಿಗ್ಗಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಟೆಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಉಡುಪಿ ಉಪಹಾರಲ್ಲಿ ಬುಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ ನಾಷ್ಟಾ, ಬ್ರೇಕ್ಫಾಸ್ಟ್. ಸೊ ಅವಾಗ ಸುಗ್ಗಿ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ದ ರೆಸಿಪಿಯಂಟ್, ಸುಗ್ಗಿ is going to pay the tax. If you have booked breakfast from ITC, right, or Taj Hotel, then they are providing room services also. They have a restaurant, and the charge of one room per unit is 7500, equal to 7500 per unit per day, and they are providing extra service alva idu. So then they are liable to pay the tax for this also. Okay, services which you have availed, this marginal services ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೂ ಕೂಡ ಅವರು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಪೇ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್ per day, per unit cost is equal to the 7500. Yes. Now compensation levy section 10. Now the person who don't want to pay the taxes under GST rate, he want to pay tax under fixed rate, then he can get registered under this compensation scheme. Yes. So who are eligible? Government cannot give all the time you go for compensation scheme, only regularly you pay. That is why they have made a restriction, they have given a limit. for availing this compensation scheme. A registered person who all registered, they are eligible to get this compensation levy. But whose turnover is in the preceding year, it is equal to 1.5 crore. 1.5 crores is the matter they can avail a turnover. Turnover is nothing but the sales. Okay. In case of special category states, ಇದ್ರೆ 75 lakhs. ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅರುಣಾಚಲ್ ಪ್ರದೇಶ್ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಆಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಪ್ರಕಾರ 11 SC/SC ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರಿ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ GST ಪ್ರಕಾರ ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ 8 ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಸ್ ನ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀರಿ. ಓಕೆ, 8 ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಸ್ ಯಾವ್ದು? ಅರುಣಾಚಲ್ ಪ್ರದೇಶ್, ಉತ್ತರಾಖಂಡ್, ಮಣಿಪುರ್, ಮೇಘಾಲಯ, ನಾಗಾಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್, ಸಿಕ್ಕಿಂ, ತ್ರಿಪುರಾ ಅಂಡ್ ಮಿಜೋರಂ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 1.75 lakh ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಟರ್ನ್ ಓವರ್ ಇರಬೇಕು ಪ್ರಿಸೀಡಿಂಗ್ ಇಯರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಓಕೆ, ವಿಚ್ ಆರ್ ದಿ ಅದರ್ 3 states? That is Assam, J&K, Himachal Pradesh. Okay, if the person has 2 branches, one in SCS and other one is non-SCS, then 75 lakh. That means, see here, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ 2 ಬ್ರಾಂಚ್ ಇದೆ. ಒಂದು ಈ SCS ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಉತ್ತರಾಖಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ. ದ ಅದರ್ ಒನ್ ಈಸ್ ಇನ್ ಡೆಲ್ಲಿಯಲ್ಲಿದೆ. ನಾವು ಯು ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಸೇ ನಾನು ಉತ್ತರಾಖಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋದು 75 lakh ತಗೋತೀನಿ, ಡೆಲ್ಲಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ 1.4. ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಯು ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಬೇರಿಂಗ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಪ್ಯಾನ್ ನಂಬರ್. ಸೊ ಯು both the branches will be compared, and whichever is lower, the lower will be 75 lakh. The 75 lakh will be considered as an aggregate of the 2 branches. Both the branches we are considering 75 lakh as an aggregate. Okay, then how we are calculating, what all includes under the aggregate turnover? ಏನೆಲ್ಲ include ಆಗುತ್ತೆ? Taxable amount, exempted, exports, interstate, person having a same PAN, we computed on all India basis compute ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ. What are all excluded ಏನು? CGST, SGST, IGST, cess we are not considering. Okay, then inward supply on which tax is payable under the RCM, whatever the RCM we have paid, that also we are not going to consider for the aggregate turnover. Now, rate of taxes for this compensation suppliers. So what is the rate? In case is a manufacturer other than the notified government manufacturer, he will pay CGST 0.5%, SGST 0.5% on total turnover he is paying. In case he is providing a restaurant services, he has availed the compensation scheme, then he will pay 2.5 plus 2.5, that is CGST and SGST on total turnover. In case he is a trader, then he will pay 0.5% plus 0.5% of total taxable turnover, on total taxable turnover he is going to pay. In case of traders, CGST and SGST, right? Then marginal supply of services along with the goods. Now he is providing goods. With that, only the marginal services are allowed. He cannot give whole services, right? So then if he is providing the marginal services, then how the amount will be considered? Here, a year of the 10% of turnover of preceding year, or 5 lakh, whichever is higher we are going to consider. If the turnover includes any interest income, then that will not be considered. It should be excluded for determining the compensation scheme, marginal supply and services. Okay, then what are the terms and conditions? Now, the terms and conditions are there. Other than the restaurant services, the marginal supply of services, no more services are allowed other than whatever the normally they are providing. With that, very marginal supply of services are allowed. More than that, other services if they are providing, it is not allowed. And not supplying any goods and services on which GST Act is not applicable. If they are, example, if they are having petrol pumps, on petrol GST is not applicable. If they are providing us services, then they cannot say they are providing services, he is a recipient, because the product itself, the goods itself is not applied the GST. That is why. And if they are not engaged in any interstate outward supply of goods and services. See, while calculating aggregate turnover, we have taken interstate also. That is in the preceding year. In the current year, you should not involve any of this interstate outward supplies. That will not be considered. Okay, then he is dissatisfies the condition. And if he is not engaged in any supplying of goods and services through an ECO, who is liable to collect the tax under section 52, is liable to pay the section under 52. Now, if the manufacturer of ice cream, pan masala, tobacco substitutes, arrested water, fly ash bricks, bricks of fossil, mills, building bricks, other or roofing tiles. So this is all related to the constructions. They are all are allowed. Now traders are allowed to follow the compensation scheme. Only for these items the compensation scheme is allowed. Neither a CTPs nor a NRTP. That is, CTP means if they have any casual taxable person or any non-resident taxable persons. Okay, now what is the compensation scheme for the small service providers? So this is under section 10 subsection 2a we are covering. And person should be a registered person, then only is eligible, and whose turnover is in the preceding year is equal to the 50 lakh. Here there is no SCS states, that is special category states. For all it is 50 lakh only. There is no differentiation like before we have seen 1.5 and 75. Here for all it is 50 lakh only. Small service providers. Okay, and the tax rate, the GST rates are 3% on CGST and 3% on SGST on total turnover as per the section 10 subsection 2a will be considered. Okay, now what are the terms and conditions? The terms and conditions is going to remain same. There is no more changes. Only here, see, not engaged in supply of goods and services which GST is not applicable, that is petroleum products, the 5 petroleum products. Not engaged in interstate supply should not be involved, and not engaged in making any goods and services under who are registering under the 52 who are paying. Manufacturer supplies of ice cream, pan masala, tobacco, rented waters. So here these are not allowed. Only the construction related materials are allowed, because here they are not mentioned, right? So construction related materials are allowed. Neither a CTP nor a NRTP. Okay. Now, so the compensation scheme adopted uniformly by all the registered person having a same PAN. That means now you have 2 3 branches, right? You cannot say you will follow general scheme under one state, one branch. In another one branch you will follow the compensation scheme. If compensation, all the branches compensation only. If general scheme, in all the branches general scheme only you have to follow. Okay, then compensation supplier shall mention compensation taxable person and not eligible to collect tax on supplies. If you are availed this compensation scheme, if you are not allowed to collect any taxes on the supplies, because you don't want to pay the GST rates, you have want a fixed rate, you have availed this compensation scheme. So again you should not collect any taxes on the supplies. And compensation supplier shall neither a collect tax recipient nor shall be allowed the benefit of ITC, because you are not paying as per the GST rates. You have avoided a fixed rate. That is why the ITC facility is not allowed. Input tax facility is not allowed for the compensation scheme holders. And compensation scheme shall lapse on crossing the threshold limit. So what is the threshold limit? The threshold limit for the Delhi is, that is 40 lakhs, right? On crossing the threshold limit or dissatisfying any terms and conditions, your compensation scheme will be lapsed, right? I hope you all understood. Practice, only practice makes you perfect. And don't think only if you are strong with the theory you can do problems. That is not possible in the tax, because tax is very specific, it is not general. You have to know when you are applying, why you are applying, whom you are applying, for what purpose you are applying. So if you have answer to these questions, then you will never make mistake. I hope you all understood. Practice and make a note of everything. Have a great day. Thank you for watching.